The man made a terrible discovery while drinking tea. He sensed that his wife might have poisoned the cup. When I heard I was going to die. The man struggled to hold his stomach and walked out, to prevent his wife from succeeding. He walked resolutely to the balcony. The woman was in hot pursuit. She screamed wildly at her husband, and tried to beg for forgiveness from men. But the husband just smiled. He let his wife see his eyes. Then he jumped down. This scene was also completely unexpected by the woman. She walked forward trembling. When I saw the motionless husband down there, the woman smiled strangely. Then she took out her suitcase with satisfaction. Get the husband's computer out of it. Laura could finally sigh. He entered the code with confidence, only to find that the cloud disk also needs two-factor authentication, not just the husband's account password, and we need his face recognition. Laura panicked in an instant. He hurried to the balcony. But when I look at my dead husband, only to find that his face had been blurred. It seems that the husband had thought of the outcome before he died. But Laura didn't give up. He came up with a brilliant idea. Laura told her friend about her husband's accident. His mouth is full of remorse and love. And lied about the fight that resulted from the breakup of their relationship. Unexpectedly, the husband lost his temper and jumped. Laura's description was vague. When I see the old man and hear the love, he began to make requests, hoping a man could help her make a model of her husband.
I need to look into his eyes and beg the forgiveness of a ghost. And maybe he'll forgive me and maybe he won't. Maybe I'm damned to follow him over that cliff.
Drew, Paul Moore said. More excited. Old White also had to agree to come down. He is a famous mold artist. Portraits are his best work. While Laura was still expressing how much she missed her husband, suddenly he heard what seemed to be a noise behind him. But he looked for a long time and found nothing unusual, but Laura didn't know it. A pair of eyes were watching his every move. Lisa is Bai's most recent apprentice. But when I saw Laura leave, he has a meaningful reminder of the old White. No matter how pathetic the other person is. Don't believe anything he says. Because Lisa has a special function. Whenever someone lies, his eyes would twitch uncontrollably. But in the face of Lisa's kind reminder, old White did not pay attention to it. Because he can feel the sadness of his friends, whether he's lying or not. It's not that important to me anymore. Old White set about making the statue with all his heart, because the three of them used to be best friends. He couldn't stand to see his friend sad. Under Lisa's constant questioning. Old White also told a dusty years of the past. 30 years ago, several people set up a film and television company while filming an underwater mermaid scene. To avoid accidents, they put an alarm device on the actor's hand. It'll pull him up when the light turns red. But because the old White is very dissatisfied with the effect, after nearly 30 repetitions, the accident is officially happening. The actress died motionless in the water. For this reason, the old White has always lived in remorse. He thinks he killed him. So he quit the company. Gift all shares to a friend and his wife. He began to live in the mountains, making model props for a living. It's Lisa's first time, too. Listen to him talk about the past can only continue to comfort its old White. Let him try to get over it. Soon the avatar of the friend was made. Laura opened the box slowly. He put her husband's 1:1 head on the table. Then turned on the computer again. After entering the account number and password, he turned the computer around again. Finally, adjust the camera angle. Sure enough, the cloud disk was successfully unlocked. Laura thanked her husband with great joy. After a skillful operation, he finally found what he wanted to delete. Then Laura picked up the phone contentedly. Gene Company, find the film with the same number as the deleted video, and asked the other party to send them home as soon as possible, but they were told it had been taken away by some time ago. Laura was no longer so calm after hearing it, when he wants to get mad, only to find that old White has appeared at the door.
Don't worry about it, Raoul. Forget I ever called.
Please, don't be mad at me.
Laura looked at the cold statue in front of her. He angrily shut down the computer. Then timidly go and open the door, after the original Tong Lisa Bear heart. Also once again evoked the old White heart of that memory. He mustered up the courage to pick up the phone, called the custodian at the company warehouse. Old White wished to see the day of the actor's accident, the footage that was taken, even though it's against company policy. But for the sake of over 40 years of friendship, the keeper delivered the film himself. Old White carefully packed the bag, the one he never dared to face. Again presented in front of old White. It's like going back 40 years. But then he saw the last tape. But suddenly found the fish tank next to the red light. Looks like someone turned it off. Old White could hardly believe his eyes. He kept repeating it, watch over and over again. But the more he looked at it, the creepier it got. Trembling, he picked up the magnifying glass. That's when I realized the woman who turned off the lights wasn't someone else, none other than his best friend Laura, which means the actress sent out a distress message. But it was shut down, so we couldn't find it. White used to blame it all on himself. I didn't think it was a friend's hand. So he went to Laura hoping to hear his explanation. Laura felt remorse, too. It turns out he thought the actress was playing a big game, making it difficult for them to buy time. And several people have spent all their savings on the film. Another second of delay is a waste of money. Laura thinks it's for the good of the company. But he didn't expect such a tragedy. Laura also said it was an accident. Old White did not make a statement. He held the film in his hand. Asked her husband if he saw it, too. But Laura did not answer the question. Repeatedly claiming that what he did was for the company. He says he's been doing the dirty work for both of them.
Laura, let me ask you this. Did you have anything to do with Max's death?
He jumped right in front of me. like he wanted to punish me. My hand to God.
Old White did not speak. He threw the film into the fire. Laura was relieved, too. He thanked Old White. At the same time, I hope my husband can forgive me. Old White also seems to understand everything. He silently got up and left the villa. But just when Laura thought it was over, I suddenly noticed something wrong with the film. He picked it up carefully with a stick. I didn't know Old White had tampered with the film. The piece of evidence that proves he did it. It was cut in the middle by Old White, and on the other side Old White. On the way back, I suddenly felt a blur in front of my eyes. But he still has amazing willpower. We made it back to the cabin. But when Lisa found out, Old White has long since stopped breathing. Wait until the next day. Laura also heard the news of Old White's death, but it was only sad for a second. He began to build up what he had left behind. He thinks the company has always supported Mr. Bai's creation. Should have a right to his studio. When the lawyer answered in the affirmative, Laura can't wait to see Old White's collection. But just then, he was horrified to discover Lisa doesn't know when. Showing up at the door of the villa. Laura walked nervously out of the room. Lisa suddenly changed her smile. Because Old White was alive, the last place I was here. Lisa was naturally suspicious of her woman. But Laura showed no signs of panic. And graciously let him in. Lisa wants to know what they said last night. Laura made no attempt to answer. Just that I'm sorry about White's heart attack. Before parting, she especially thanked them for all they had done for her husband.
Help me to say goodbye to him and feel some kind of release that I wasn't responsible for Max's death. I thank you so much for coming by. It's really great to meet you. Take care, Charlie.
You said you weren't responsible?
There's no real evidence. And the man told Lisa. Said White took a few rolls of film. The same thing Laura was looking for yesterday. That's why I'm here today. This remark also reminded Lisa in an instant. He thinks maybe the answer lies here. However, two people looked for a long time did not see the whereabouts of the original film. Just then there was a noise behind him. Laura could not bear the mood. He called in the big moving company.
All this stuff goes to LAM, but bag up the loose film separate. I'll take care of that myself. I want every bit of it. Don't leave a scrap behind.
Lisa looked down from the corner. At that moment he knew Laura was also in it for the film. Suddenly he was on top of a statue. I saw the film that had been wound together. And he sure as hell didn't have one up there before yesterday. Laura thought about the future. He burns all the film he receives. So as not to arouse suspicion. He even held an art fair for Bai. And Lisa was posing as a statue. I snuck into the meeting. And yet someone found a target that big. Lisa got caught by security. He had to find a custodian again, led by a man. They snuck in through the staff entrance. At the same time, Laura is also giving a passionate speech on the stage, can be on the big screen behind you, and all of a sudden, the video starts playing. It's him killing the actors with the lights off. Laura ran off the stage in horror. But because he's got something on his mind, I'm constantly having hallucinations in my head. Even a statue of her husband. And the next thing you know, it's real. He overtook her husband all the way. The moment I saw him jump again. Laura was totally devastated. In a trance, he jumped with him. When Lisa came after me, all I saw was his cold body.